And Hannah conceived, and she bore a son. And she called his name Samuel, for she said, I have asked for him from the Lord. And when she had weaned him, she took him up, along with a 3-year-old bull, and an ephah of flour, and a skin of wine, and brought him up to the house of the Lord at Shiloh. Now the child was still young. And they slaughtered the bull, and they brought the child to Eli. And she said, Oh, my Lord, as my Lord lives, I am the woman who was standing in your presence praying. For this child I prayed, and the Lord has granted me my petition that I made. And therefore I have lent him to the Lord. As long as he lives, he is lent to the Lord. And then Hannah prayed, My heart exalts in the Lord. My horn is exalted in the Lord. My mouth derides my enemies, for I rejoice in your salvation. There is none who is holy like the Lord. There is none like you. There is no rock like our God. And the boy was ministering to the Lord in the presence of Eli the priest. Now, the word of the Lord was rare in those days, and there was no frequent vision. At that time, Eli, whose eyes had begun to grow dim so that he could not see, was lying down in his own place, and the lamp of the Lord had not yet gone out. Samuel was lying down in the temple of the Lord, where the ark of God was. And the Lord called to Samuel. And he said, Here I am. And he ran to Eli and said, Here I am, for you called me. But Eli said, I did not call you. Lie down again. And he went and lay down. And the Lord called again, Samuel! And he arose and ran to Eli and said, Here I am, for you called me. But he said, I did not call you, my son. Lie down again. Now Samuel did not yet know the Lord, and the word of the Lord had not yet been revealed to him. And the Lord called again. And Samuel arose and ran to Eli and said, Here I am, for you called me. And then Eli perceived that the Lord was calling the boy. And Eli said to Samuel, Go and lie down again. And if he calls you again, then say, Speak, O Lord, for your servant hears. So Samuel went and lay in his place. And the Lord came and stood calling, as at other times, Samuel! Samuel! And Samuel answered and said, Speak, your servant hears. And the Lord said to Samuel, Behold, I am about to do a thing in Israel that will make the 2 ears of everyone who hears it tingle. For I am about to fulfill against Eli all that I have spoken concerning his house from beginning to end. And I will declare to him that I will punish his house for the iniquity that he knew, because his sons were blaspheming God, and he did not restrain them. Therefore, I swear to the house of Eli that the iniquity of Eli's house will not be atoned for by sacrifice or offering forever. And Samuel lay until morning. And then he opened up the doors of the house of the Lord, but he was afraid to tell the vision to Eli. But Eli called to him, "Samuel, my son." Samuel said, "Here I am." And he said, "What did he tell you? Do not hide it from me. May God do so to you and more also if you hide anything from me of all that he said to you." And so Samuel told him everything and hid from him nothing. And he said, "It is the Lord. Let him do as seems good to him." And Samuel grew, and the Lord was with him, and let none of his words fall to the ground, so that all Israel from Dan to Beersheba knew that Samuel had been established as a prophet of the Lord. And the Lord appeared again at Shiloh, for the Lord revealed himself to Samuel at Shiloh by the word of the Lord. And Samuel said to the people of Israel, "If you are returning to the Lord with your whole heart, then put away your false gods and your Ashtoreths, and direct your heart to the Lord to serve him only, and he will save you from the hand of the Philistines." And so the people put away their Baals and their Ashtoreths, and they served the Lord only. And Samuel said, "Gather the people of Israel at Mizpah, and I will pray to the Lord for you." And so the people gathered at Mizpah, and they drew water and poured it out before the Lord, and they fasted that day. And they said there, "We have sinned against the Lord." And Samuel judged Israel at Mizpah. But when the Philistines heard that all the people of Israel had gathered together at Mizpah, the lords of the Philistines went up against Israel. And when the people of Israel heard, they were afraid of the Philistines, and they said to Samuel, "Do not cease crying out to us for us to the Lord, that he might save us from the hands of the Philistines." So Samuel took a nursing lamb and offered it up as a whole burnt offering to the Lord. And he cried out to the Lord for Israel. And the Lord answered him. For as Samuel was offering up the burnt offering, the Philistines drew near to attack. But the Lord thundered with a great sound against the Philistines that day and threw them into confusion, and they were defeated before Israel. And the men of Israel went out from Mizpah and pursued the Philistines and struck them as far as beyond Beth-kar. And Samuel took a stone and he put it up, stood it between Mizpah and Shen, and he called the name of it Ebenezer, stone of help. For he said, "Until now, the Lord has helped us." And so the Philistines were subdued, and they did not enter again into the territory of Israel. For the hand of the Lord was against the Philistines all the days of Samuel. And all the cities that the Philistines had taken from Israel were restored to Israel, from Ekron to Gath. And the people of Israel delivered their territory from the hand of the Philistines. And there was peace also between Israel and Ammon. And Samuel judged Israel all the days of his life. When Samuel became old, he made his sons judges in Israel. The name of his firstborn was Joel, and the name of the second Abijah, and they were judges in Beersheba. But his sons did not walk in his ways, and they turned aside for gain. They took bribes and perverted justice. And all the elders of Israel gathered and came to Samuel at Ramah and said, "Behold, you are old, and your sons do not walk in your ways. Therefore, appoint a king over us to judge us, like all the nations." And this thing displeased Samuel, that they said, "Give us a king to judge us." And he prayed to the Lord. And the Lord said to Samuel, "Obey the voice of the people in all that they say to you, for they have not rejected you, but they have rejected me from being king over them."